Abandoned on Xerion Prime. Commander Thex-9 of the Zephyrian research vessel Stellar Wind watched the evacuation pods streak away from Research Station Omega-7 like falling stars. His 4 eyes tracked each escape vehicle as they fled the surface of Xerion Prime, the most hostile planet in Sector 12. The emergency sirens had been wailing for 37 minutes when the seismic readings spiked beyond all safety protocols. Final headcount. Navigator Zilm, Thex-9 commanded, his breathing apparatus hissing with each word. Navigator Zilm's tentacles danced across the holographic display, her bioluminescent patches flickering with concentration. All research personnel accounted for, Commander. 23 Zephyrians, 8 Chromics, 4 Stellari delegates, and, her patches dimmed with concern. Sir, we show 26 life pods launched, but only 35 beings evacuated. Impossible. Run the scan again. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Through the reinforced viewport, Xerion Prime loomed below them like a wounded beast. The planet's surface writhed with acid storms that could dissolve metal in minutes. Crystalline formations jutted from the ground like razor teeth, some of them moving with predatory intent. The very air was poison, thick with corrosive gases that would burn through most species' respiratory systems in seconds. Commander. Zilm's voice was barely above a whisper. One human remains on the surface. Sarah Mitchell, the terraforming engineer. The bridge erupted in shocked clicks, whistles, and hisses from the mixed species crew. Thex-9 felt his blood chill in his veins. Humans were known for their unusual resilience, but Xerion Prime was classified as a Class XI, Deathworld. Nothing could survive down there. Open communications to the surface immediately, Thex-9 ordered. Static filled the bridge for several moments before a clear voice cut through the interference. Station Omega-7 to Stellar Wind. This is Sarah Mitchell. I'm reading you loud and clear up there. Engineer Mitchell. Thex-9 spoke slowly, choosing his words carefully. We show your life pod still docked. The surface evacuation is complete. You need to launch immediately. There was a pause, then Sarah's voice returned with what sounded almost like amusement. Negative, Commander. My pod's guidance system took a hit during the quake. She's not flying anywhere. But don't worry about me. I've got this handled. Science Officer Keth-12 nearly fell from his perch. Commander, she cannot possibly survive down there. The atmospheric composition alone will kill her within the hour. Mitchell, you don't understand. Thex-9 pressed. Xerion Prime is actively trying to kill everything on its surface. The acid rain, the predatory crystals, the unstable geology. It's all beyond survival parameters for any known species. Sarah's laugh crackled through the comm system. Commander, with respect, I'm from Montana. You've clearly never experienced a winter in Big Sky Country. The alien crew exchanged bewildered glances. Through their sensors, they watched as Sarah emerged from the research station. She wore nothing but a standard environmental suit, the kind designed for brief surface excursions on marginally habitable worlds. On Xerion Prime, it should have been as useful as paper armor. The first thing she did was survey the wreckage around the station. A massive crystal formation had erupted through the main laboratory, its edges still glowing with the heat of its emergence. Acid rain hissed against every surface, leaving smoking trails where it touched. The ground beneath her feet shifted constantly, as if the planet itself was restless and angry. Sarah walked to the debris field where supply containers had been scattered by the seismic activity. She picked up a piece of twisted metal hull plating, examined it thoughtfully, then began dragging it toward a natural depression in the rock formation behind the station. What is she doing? Whispered Navigator Zilm. They watched in fascination as Sarah worked methodically through the destruction. She salvaged thermal regulators from damaged equipment, stripped insulation from ruined power conduits, and collected fragments of the station's outer shell. Within 2 hours, she had constructed what could only be described as a shelter. But this wasn't just any shelter. Sarah had positioned it in the lee of the crystal formation, using the heat radiating from the alien mineral to warm her makeshift home. She had angled the salvaged hull plating to create channels that directed the acid rain away from her living space and into collection pools. Most remarkably, she had woven together some of the planet's native vegetation, plants that their xenobotany reports had classified as highly toxic, to create an additional barrier around her shelter. Impossible, breathed Science Officer Keth 12. She's using the poison plants as protection. Their natural toxins would repel the predatory crystals and acidic fauna. How could she know that? Fex9 demanded. We've been studying this planet for 6 months and only recently discovered that relationship. Sarah's voice came through the comm again. Hey, Stellar Wind, just wanted to give you an update. I've got basic shelter established, and I'm working on a more permanent solution. The local ecosystem is actually pretty fascinating once you understand how it all fits together. Engineer Mitchell, Fex9 said carefully, you've been on the surface for less than 4 hours. How are you not only surviving but apparently thriving? Well, Commander, it's all about working with the environment instead of fighting it. This acid rain, for example, is actually a great source of purified water once you filter out the corrosive elements. And these crystal formations generate enough heat to power basic life support systems. Through their sensors, they watched Sarah activate some kind of device she had cobbled together from station components. Steam began rising from what appeared to be a water purification system. She was literally turning the planet's most deadly feature into drinking water. The hours passed, and the alien crew remained glued to their observation screens. Sarah continued to work with the casual efficiency of someone tending a garden. She established a perimeter using salvaged force field generators, modified to emit frequencies that seemed to calm the aggressive crystal formations. She built what appeared to be a greenhouse using transparent aluminum panels from the station's viewports, creating a protected space for food cultivation. Commander, Navigator Zilm reported, our biological scanners show she's not just surviving. Her vitals are actually improving. Stress hormones are decreasing, and her activity levels suggest she's becoming more energetic, not less. By the end of the first day, Sarah had created something that defied all logic. Her shelter had grown into a small compound, complete with living quarters, workshop space, and what appeared to be a laboratory. She had even begun cataloging the local flora and fauna, documenting species that had eluded their research team for months. As the planet's twin suns set, casting eerie purple shadows across the deadly landscape, Sarah's voice came through the comm one final time that day. Good night, Stellar Wind. I'll check in tomorrow morning. Oh, and Commander, you might want to reconsider that Class XI classification. With the right approach, this place has serious potential. Fex9 stared at the thriving human settlement below, then at his crew of seasoned explorers and scientists. In less than 24 hours, a single human had accomplished what their entire expedition had deemed impossible. Navigation, he said quietly, set course for the nearest communications relay. We need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. What should we tell them, Commander? Fex9 watched Sarah's lights twinkle in the darkness of Syrian Prime's night, a warm beacon of impossible human determination. Tell them we need to revise our understanding of what constitutes survivable conditions, he said, and tell them we may have found something more valuable than rare minerals on this world. What's that, sir? Proof that humans are even more remarkable than we thought. Building the impossible. 3 weeks had passed since the evacuation of Research Station Omega-7, and the Stellar Wind remained in orbit around Syrian Prime. What had begun as a rescue mission had transformed into something unprecedented in galactic exploration history. The crew watched in growing amazement as Sarah Mitchell didn't just survive on the Deathworld below, but began to transform it. Commander Fex9 reviewed the daily reports with increasing disbelief. Navigator Zilm confirmed these readings. The biological scanners show multiple life forms congregating around Mitchell's compound. Confirmed, Commander. And sir, They appear to be cooperating with her rather than attacking. Through the enhanced visual sensors, they observed what could only be described as impossible. Sarah had somehow domesticated several of Sirian Prime's most dangerous creatures. The razor-sharp crystal formations that had threatened to tear apart their research station now formed organized patterns around her settlement, creating natural barriers and energy conduits. The acidic slug-like creatures that had dissolved their equipment were now contained in specially designed enclosures, their corrosive secretions being harvested for industrial purposes. Science Officer Keth 12 chittered excitedly as he analyzed the data streams. "Commander, she's created a symbiotic ecosystem. The crystal formations are being fed mineral solutions that enhance their energy output, while the organic creatures are processing waste materials into usable compounds. It's revolutionary terraforming theory put into practice." "Sir," Communications Officer Yex4 interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. High priority." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the imposing form of Council Chairman Vorth Prime, his ancient stellary features grave with concern. "Commander Thex9, we've received your reports regarding the human survivor on Sirian Prime. The Council finds these claims difficult to accept. Chairman, I can provide complete sensor logs and continuous monitoring data. Engineer Mitchell has not only survived, but has created a thriving settlement. The Council has dispatched the science vessel Deep Knowledge with our best xenobiologists and survival specialists. They will arrive in 72 hours to conduct a proper evaluation. Until then, maintain your position and continue monitoring." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in thoughtful silence. Through their sensors, they watched Sarah working in what appeared to be an expanded greenhouse complex. She had somehow convinced the planet's carnivorous plants to grow in organized rows, creating what looked like an agricultural facility. "Incoming transmission from the surface," Yex4 announced. Sarah's cheerful voice filled the bridge. "Morning, stellar wind. Hope you're all doing well up there. I wanted to give you a heads up that I'm expecting some visitors soon. Had some interesting seismic activity yesterday that suggests we might have neighbors." "Neighbors?" Thex9 asked, alarmed. "Mitchell, our scans show no sentient life on Sirian Prime." "Oh, not sentient neighbors, Commander. Underground dwellers. I've been picking up organized movement patterns in the cave systems. Pretty sure they're curious about the changes I've been making up here." Before Thex9 could respond, the planet's surface erupted near Sarah's compound. But instead of the destructive emergence they expected, creatures unlike anything in their xenobiological databases emerged peacefully from the ground. They were insectoid in appearance, about the size of a human child, with crystalline carapaces that seemed to mirror the mineral formations Sarah had been cultivating. "Fascinating." Sarah's voice continued calmly. "They seem to be offering trade goods. Look at this craftsmanship." The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as Sarah interacted with the underground dwellers, as if meeting new neighbors rather than first contact with an unknown species. She showed them her cultivated crystals and purified water systems, while they displayed intricate carved objects and what appeared to be processed metals. "Commander," Science Officer Keth 12 whispered, "she's conducting first contact negotiations. This could be the most significant discovery in galactic history." Hours passed as Sarah continued her interactions with the Sirian natives. She learned to communicate through a combination of crystal resonance patterns and simple gestures. By the end of the day, they had established what appeared to be a trading relationship, with the underground dwellers providing rare earth elements in exchange for Sarah's water purification services. The next morning brought another impossibility. Sarah had constructed what could only be described as a small town. The native Sirians had helped her expand her facilities, using their advanced tunneling abilities to create underground storage and living spaces. The surface compound now included multiple greenhouses, workshops, living quarters, and what appeared to be a cultural exchange center. "Stellar wind, this is Mitchell." Sarah's voice carried a note of excitement. "I know you've probably got scientists coming to check on me, but I wanted to make a proposal first. "What kind of proposal, engineer?" Fex9 asked, though he suspected he already knew. "I'd like to establish the first permanent human settlement on Xerion Prime. With the cooperation of the native population, we could turn this place into a thriving colony. The resource potential is incredible, and the Xerions have technology that could revolutionize how we approach hostile environment colonization." The bridge fell silent. Through their sensors, they could see Sarah's impossible achievement, a human thriving on a death world, having established peaceful contact with a previously unknown species, and created a sustainable settlement that seemed to improve both the planet's ecosystem and the lives of its native inhabitants. "Mitchell," Fex9 said slowly, "are you telling us that you want to stay on Xerion Prime permanently?" "Commander, I'm telling you that I found home. This planet isn't trying to kill me. It was just waiting for someone who knew how to listen to what it needed." 3 days later, the science vessel Deep Knowledge arrived with a full complement of experts from 12 different species. The scientists descended to the surface expecting to document a miraculous survival story. Instead, they found something that would rewrite textbooks across the galaxy. Sarah Mitchell, the human engineer who had been accidentally abandoned on a death world, welcomed them to the town of New Haven. Population: 1 human, 47 Xerion natives, and growing daily. The settlement featured advanced recycling systems, sustainable agriculture, and technology that seamlessly blended human engineering with Xerion mineral cultivation techniques. Dr. Zorthate, the expedition's lead xenobiologist, spent hours examining Sarah's achievements before finally approaching Commander Fex9 with his report. "Commander, in 40 years of studying hostile environments, I have never seen anything like this. She hasn't just survived. She's created a new model for interspecies cooperation and planetary development." "What are you recommending, Doctor?" "That we classify this as humanity's first successful death world colonization, and that we invite Engineer Mitchell to establish a permanent research partnership with the Galactic Council. What she's accomplished here could change how we approach exploration of hostile worlds throughout the galaxy." As the stellar wind prepared to depart with news of the miraculous settlement, Sarah's final transmission summarized everything the aliens had learned about human determination. "Thanks for checking on me, folks. Don't worry about old Earth. We humans have a way of making any place work if we put our minds to it. Xerion Prime and I are going to get along just fine." Commander Fex9 looked down at the thriving settlement one last time before plotting course for home. In his official report, he would write that humans possessed an adaptability that defied all known biological parameters. What he wouldn't include was his personal observation that perhaps the galaxy hadn't truly been explored until humans began to call impossible places home. The legend of Sarah Mitchell and New Haven would spread throughout the galactic community, inspiring a new age of human-led exploration into the galaxy's most dangerous and promising worlds. And somewhere on Xerion Prime, a human and her alien neighbors continued building something wonderful from what everyone else had called impossible.